Welcome to Two Crazy Scoops, the coffee break episodes with your hosts, AO and Antino. So grab a big cup of Joe and enjoy the show. That rhymed unintentionally. Welcome to Two Crazy Scoops coffee break episode with your hosts, AO and Antino. Today we're going to talk about the obviously oddly named band Death Cab For Cutie. Which is funny because a lot of these bands are named that, and you tell your grandparents and they flip out. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh, what do you listen to, Jimmy? Oh, just Death Cab For Cutie. The what? I thought I saw him on the news last week.
And if you listen to last week's episode, you'll find out at the end, at the abrupt ending, that
Aaron didn't know.
I didn't know that the lead vocalist of Postal Service was also the same lead vocalist for Death Cab.
I have to be honest because the music fan people will always give you flack for everything. So I'm not going to hold you accountable for that. I'm just going to let you pass. But when people go to me and they're like, you don't know who this band is? I'm like, oh, gosh, just show it to me. Please just stop. How have you never heard this song?
Right, exactly.
I don't know, man. It all started when I was like 7 and people are like, you don't know who the Beatles are? And I'm like, I'm 7. I don't even know what music is.
I was super late to learn a lot of the Beatles songs too.
Which we'll cover that in a later episode. Although I kind of want to get Jacob on here and have him just trash the Beatles. Because it's kind of funny to hear him talk about it. But anyways, we're talking about Death Cab For Cutie.
Okay.
Whether or not you are familiar with the band, you may be familiar with their music. What year did you hear this song that we were playing?
Which one?
The Soul Meets Body, another great name for a song.
Right, exactly. So that song brings me back to I don't know the exact year that it came out, but I think
it came out in 2005, it looks like. But again, it takes a while for some of these songs to get played on the radio after they're released.
That song takes me back to around that time because that's when I was living in New York. So we're talking 2005, 2006, maybe more maybe 6. Because I remember hearing it on a road trip that we went on to Myrtle Beach. So I think that was 06 or 07, one of the two. So mid 2000s, I'll just say that. It takes me back to that time being in New York. And of course, I didn't really listen to them, but quite a few of my friends did. And so they kind of got me into a lot of their songs. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, a few of their songs. Some of them I liked, some I wasn't crazy about. They were okay. But as you mentioned before, they have quite a following, like a very strong, loyal following. So the people who like them love them.
Yeah,
So since I wasn't in that group of people who were just like hardcore fans, but I could listen from afar almost and be like, okay, I get it. I can kind of groove with a few of these songs. And so that song, Soul Meets Body, is one of them where it was like, okay, this has a nice groove to it. I like the sound of it. I can deal with that one. And a few other ones. There were a couple of them I saw on the playlist, some that I did like, but I was never like hardcore.
Yeah. I had a friend who was very much in love with the band. He went to like their concerts and would just rant and rave about them. And he gave me 3 CDs of theirs and let me borrow them at the time when I guess you would let people borrow CDs. And so I tried listening to it and maybe I'd have to go back and try again. I think I said in the last podcast that I don't really like his voice, but then I was listening. I was like, yeah, I do like a couple of the songs. I think it's more the Postal Service, which you were talking about production of vocals, which they may have changed because it was just seemed really whiny.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about Soul Meets Body is that in 2005, there was this time, you've heard of 93.7, the radio station here in Tucson?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all pop music, just poppy.
Mm-hmm.
In 2005, 2006, 2007, there was like the pop music was that kind of music. Maroon 5, Coldplay, The Killers, Death Cab For Cutie, they would play these songs and it was like, oh, this is kind of like pop. It didn't really fall into like it was like kind of rock, but not really rock. I guess it was called alternative, right?
Yeah, or you can, or like a I don't know. I would consider it alternative or like a pop rock, because that's really what it was. It wasn't real rock. It was very pop friendly, radio friendly. So
yeah, so they would play that with like Beyonce and like all those other artists, Alicia Keys,
especially
stuff like that.
During that time period too, it was really big, because each type of music kind of comes in waves. It grows where it's really big, then it kind of tapers off, and then it's big again. Because you can probably throw in what's that other group too?
Muse.
Muse was a little bit later. Muse was like later.
No, because they came out with Nights of Sidonia during that time as well. If I'm correct, they're actually. Let me see.
Well,
2006 was Black Holes and Revelations. That was it, and they played Starlight.
Starlight, yes. So
that wasn't.
Okay, see, I associated. Okay, so that's one of those songs that I got into later, so a couple of years after that, because I actually saw Muse live. They opened up for U2 back, but that was 2000. When was the 360 tour? Whatever the 360 tour. So that was either 2009 or 2010. I think when I saw them, maybe it was 2009. I have to look and see, but that song was still relatively new for me at that point. So I just got into that song later. So when I think of that song, it reminds me more of like a 2008, 2009, even though at that point it was already a couple of years old. I just missed the initial train and later, because Black Holes and Revelation. What other? So Starlight.
Nights of Sidonia was another one, but that one was more rock.
There was another song,
Supermassive Black Hole. That one kind of got a little bit popular later.
Let me look it up real quickly. They had a song I liked that, but it was kind of like rebellious.
No, you're thinking of their later album, which was.
Oh, I can't even think.
Oh no, maybe you're thinking of Absolution. Wait, but this is about Death Cab for Cutie.
I'm sorry, we'll
go about Muse later. All I'm trying to say,
we are getting off topic. Sorry.
All I'm trying to say is that these songs kind of were at a time period where pop music was kind of starting to take over, I think.
Uprising, that's what it was called. Sorry. That was from the Resistance album.
That one came out later.
That was 2009.
Yeah.
So what happened was that album came out, and then I started listening to them, and then I went back and heard the older stuff. We need to, you know what we should do? We should, in addition to doing like specific artists too, we should maybe do a couple episodes where we're talking about like this, where it's like a artists who came from the same time period, or who were really popular during the same time period, where their music was on the radio at the same time.
Yeah. And also what we're going to do is we're going to make a playlist and have some of the songs we talk about.
Yeah.
And that will be on Spotify, and you can find the link for that in our Instagram if you're interested, or Aaron can personally message it to you.
I will. If you message me on Instagram, on their Two Crazy Scoops Instagram, and you say, hey, send me the link, I will personally send you the link. Although Antino might he might have to tell me that you messaged me so that I will know to send it. So it's a process, but we'll get it done.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Where are we at? What's the time at?
I don't know. This thing.
Oh no!
Because the timer just keeps continuing. It doesn't stop. So we've been on here for 3 hours.
Oh my gosh!
47 minutes.
Yeah. So I my recorder device actually stopped because my SD card got full. Okay. So I'm sure where we're at. I apologize. So if this episode's a little longer than what you signed up for.
Yes. Well, we should. Let me see. Let me think for a second. We should probably have another, I don't know, 3-4 minutes probably.
Okay. So the other song was I Will Possess Your Heart, which is an 8-minute song. Mm-hmm. And I really like that one, mostly because it reminds me of a good friend of mine. But I can't really say that I'm a big fan of their music. If you listen to this artist and you think that we're missing something great, an album or something, I will listen to it. If you DM us that as well. Mm-hmm. I can't promise you Aaron will listen to it, but I will listen to it, and then I'll make him hear me rant about it. Or
Well,
jump on it.
you listen to it and then you tell me if it's worth it.
Okay.
And then if you say yes, then I will listen to it.
So I would give them a 6 out of 10 if I was to rate them as a band. So if you have them as a 10 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, or a 7 out of 10, let me know.
Actually, scratch that. I take that back. If someone recommends it, I'll listen to it.
Okay.
Because that way, because obviously the whole point of this is to interact with people as well, interact with our listeners. So
Yeah.
it would only make sense to listen if they make a suggestion. So
I just blow them off.
no, I'm not going to do that. If you make a suggestion for a song, I will definitely listen to it. And plus, you know what's funny is I love all types of music, and that's how I grew outside of my own comfort zone is by recommendations. So some of our listeners have already recommended stuff to me, like that song I played earlier. For you, the one that I told you, it reminded me of that song, based on the beat that you did for. In case you all don't know, Antino does all of our music. So the intro for this, the coffee break episode, reminded me of another song that I played, which maybe we'll talk about that song one episode. Who knows? But that was actually recommended by one of our listeners, Danny, if he still listens. So he actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he made a playlist of like a bunch of stuff that and sent it to me, and then so I went through it, and he had a lot of good songs on there, some of which I
cool.
still listen to now. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So, but I'm always open for more. So
there you go.
I'm gonna add this song,
Which one?
Soul Meets Body, to one of my.
Well, okay, I will admit, and before we take off here, I will say that Codes and Keys was an album that I listened to because it did come out in 2011, and I did enjoy it because I listened to it on a road trip, but I don't frequently go back and listen to that. I could revisit it again, but I wasn't like enthralled with it like multiple listenings.
And what's funny? It's funny you mentioned that too, because there is some music that I like to listen to on road trips. Doesn't have to be a long, even if I'm just going like an hour away or driving up to Phoenix or something. There's certain songs that I put on just for road trips, like when I'm going to be in the car for a while. But otherwise, I'll never listen to them. So it's kind of funny you kind of mentioned that you have to get back into it, but you got to be in the right place, in the right setting for some songs, some albums.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So after this outro music, I do believe the song will hopefully appear at the end. I think we're going to play Soul Meets Body, and I like it because it brings back some good memories for me. And I think if anyone listened to it back then, they would bring up good memories for them as well. Hopefully.
Assuming you're not, old as we are.
Yeah, and if you've never heard it, then voila. Enjoy. It has to be successful because they wouldn't stop playing it on the stinking radio. Gosh.
That's one of those songs that I can listen to over and over.
This is what Aaron sings at karaoke nights.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to Two Crazy Scoops Coffee Break. I'm AO.
And I'm Antino.
And pour out your coffee if you're not done with it because it got cold. I'm sorry.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.